Okay, this is an interface we're all familiar with. ChatGPT, the vertical prompting, the single model access. We're going to start with something we probably all have, which is product or service reviews. So if you're running any kind of company, you probably have people giving you direct feedback across something like a Trustpilot or a Google Business Review or a Yelp. And we love that. We love it when customers take time out of the day to tell us what we're doing well and what we're doing poorly. So I've pasted one of the custom built prompts into the ChatGPT interface. And basically here we're telling the LLM the context. In this case, we've used some publicly available scrubbed reviews from a luxury hotel. And we're telling the LLM it could be negative, positive, or neutral. And we'd like you to summarize either the issue or also the highlights. So we want to know what we're really failing at, but also what we're doing well. We're giving it a bunch more instructions. So give it as a single sentence, don't provide opinions and things like that. And we're also actually providing an example. So here's an example of a review. Service on the bar is slow, beautiful bathroom, magnificent views. So we're showing the LLM, if you encounter that kind of review, these are the listed items that they mentioned, and this is how we want the output. I have a placeholder in the guide for you to input your own review. This is one of them. It's actually picking up on similar themes. So they were also not impressed with the service, but they loved the bed and the sofa, bathrooms stunning, and so on. So when I feed this to ChatGPT, I'm looking for that output to be the same. And it's looking pretty good here. So they pick up on the slow service, lack of acknowledgement, but great bed, stunning bathrooms, and superb staff. So that's working pretty well. And that's because we've worked on this prompt a couple times. Let's now go into human first. A point we'll make is that the productivity gain you imagine with the LLM is kind of ruined by that single interface workflow. So if every time you get a review, you need to copy and paste it into ChatGPT, set the prompt back up again, put your little review in the placeholder, and you just get one output, that's happening no faster than you're able to manually analyze the reviews. So it's really applying these things at scale where the output starts to become interesting. You have options to do that. You could be in the OpenAI playground using API keys and Python scripts and trying to run prompts at scale. You could be in Google Sheets with a ChatGPT plugin. So it's either kind of technical or kind of tedious and slow and gets broken, and neither of them allow for that data engineering piece on the end. So we're going to start to show you how to be running these prompts at scale and going through the full transformations. This is the human first UI. I've loaded 2,500 reviews for the same hotel retailer. They're all in my data sphere here. And I've got the exact same prompt loaded in the left side panel. And just instead of the placeholder, I'm going to add one of our human first parameters, text parameter. All this is doing is telling the LLM to take whatever I feed into it as a text and run it in the prompt in parallel. So I'm picking 3 reviews here, and I'm just starting small, running that prompt against my 3. And I should see that list of output for every single one of them. So this one, superb facilities, good location, room didn't really have a proper view. Now we can check back exactly against that source, which in our case is the review, and see if it's right. So we thought the room would have a river view, wouldn't exactly classify as a river view, but the staff were great, excellent facilities. So that one's pretty bang on. Similarly, we can check, okay, they were disappointed with the tea service, but excellent restaurant food. Ordered tea in the morning and was disappointed. Okay, food was lovely, certainly stay again. So it's seeming to pick up on the right things, and I would say this is more or less validated. If I go back to those 2,500, I can select a big chunk. This, I'm moving to the stash in human first. The stash is a data holding space. Here's where if you were using reviews across Yelp, Google, you had a whole ton in your from different segments, you could group them all here and start to run your prompt at a bigger scale. So I'm running here across 100 reviews, and it's showing me 400 results, which makes sense because each review, an average of sort of 4 items mentioned, that's starting to check out. Okay, here's the problem we're running into, which is 400 summarized results is really no more helpful than our 100 prompts, or 100 reviews. So in human first, you can use the cluster function. Cluster is working on semantic similarity, which is just a fancy way to say it's starting to group similar things together. And now we can start to see trends in numbers. So, okay, 3 people of those 100 reviews mentioned that the breakfast is a little pricey. That's interesting. We've got 6 counts of a cold pool, cold jacuzzi, broken jacuzzi. That would make it cold for sure. But I see this 7 with the staff being excellent. So 7 mentions, 7 call-outs to the staff. That's looking good. We're starting to see at a more macro level what's happening in our reviews. Okay, We don't want to just look at 100 reviews. We want to look at our full 2,500 super valuable pieces of information. The way you do that in Human First is you build a pipeline. The pipeline is designed to run this prompt in parallel against an unlimited amount of data. And we do it really quickly, and we do it in a nice, organized way. So I'm feeding the exact same prompt into the pipeline. The input query I'm running it on is those full 2,500 reviews. Anything I've already run it on, it will skip. And I'm setting the pipeline to unlimited. So I've already actually run this pipeline. I'm just going to save it, and I'll show you the output. Here we have 8,300 extracted either pain points or highlights from our original 2,500 reviews. Again, not so helpful in volume. So what you might do with an output like this is start to download it and label it and try to get it into classes and task somebody with doing that manually. Instead, a great problem that the LLM can solve. So I've built another prompt, and here we're starting to prompt against our output. So you can see that saving this data and being able to work with it again in an LLM interface is becoming really important. I'm just asking the model, I'm saying, here's all the pain points and highlights I've got from my reviews. Please give me a list that I could properly categorize this with. I'm asking for a taxonomy with a parent class and a child class. A parent class might be staff, and a child class might be concierge or bar staff. So I'm asking it to just go one level of detail. You could build this as kind of detailed as you need it to be. When I run that as a pipeline, it's considering all those 8,000 labels, and it's giving me this really clean list of about 30 classes that I can use to properly classify these kinds of issues as they come in. Now, I don't want to apply those classes manually. I want the LLM to do so. So I've built another prompt. I've added my 30 item list, and I'm just asking it to please consider all of the 8,000 and give them the most fitting label. If it doesn't, I'm allowing it to have an out with other. And when I run that as a pipeline against the original 8,000, I'm going to see a label for each. So we've gone one layer deeper from just the stochastic review reasons down to a pretty labeled, data we can make sense of. And with Human First, we can go one step further. This is kind of the data engineering piece where we can start to attach that data to the review. So with batch actions, this is a data annotation workflow. Super simple. We're just assigning the label we've been given back to the original review reason. I've added it as a metadata key called key issue, which means it's applying that to all of them really quickly. Once I get back to those key issues I've got, they now come with the summarized issue attached. So that means that I can go further in this data set for kind of whatever I'm interested in. This food and drink mold found in breakfast jar really does not sound good. So maybe I want to learn more about my breakfast quality. I'm going into that group of data, and now these are everything we've seen, everything reported from the reviews that regards food and drink. If I cluster these, now I start to see the themes. So lovely breakfast with lots of extensive options. They're liking the kind of variety. That's great. But horrible scrambled eggs. Okay, we have 8 counts of an egg problem. So we might need to tighten up on our eggs. And anything else that's interesting. We've got a bacon problem. Bad tasting bacon, undercooked bacon, chewy bacon. So quickly I'm able to kind of look at a subset of data, start to look at those clusters and see what's going on. Now, the teams we work with take this a lot further. They build, there's a whole labeling flow in Human First. They build real classification models against which to categorize the new reviews as they come in. So you could have a really custom system of making sense of your reviews at scale. But I'll stop there for the purposes of that prompt.
We've been having some gentle chuckles about the quality of the eggs and bacon and scones at our hotel here. But I actually think that this is really where the real story lies. So yes, with a really well-crafted prompt applied to your data, you can uncover that eggs and bacon are customer issues, and maybe we can resolve the customer issue by fixing our eggs and our bacon. But if you're a hotel who's offering a continental breakfast and you have a clientele who's in search of a hotel that has a good quality continental breakfast, by fixing what might feel like a trivial issue, you're actually having a major impact on possible revenue, bookings, reviews, all of these things lead to better quality experiences, which we all know lead to higher revenues and customer loyalty over the long run. And so while we're making like some jokes, I think this is really important to consider when we reflect on our own business, is that, these insights that may at first glance feel like they are a bit laughable are the things that can actually lead to significant changes in business performance. So I just wanted to highlight that because sometimes the leap from, okay, this customer's grumpy about whatever, to okay, now I've actually transformed how my business operates, which is going to lead to revenue, sometimes isn't always immediately obvious. And, that's something like we try to work with our customers a lot on in our engagements and some of the advice that we can provide. But I think that that's where a lot of the value actually winds up being unlocked. It becomes more tangible, right? Like I think a lot of people are trying to look for tangible ways that I can say that generative AI has brought value to my business. And I think this is a good example of it.
I would add too, John, I think you're right on, and that's where the excitement around this more qualitative data analytics is really present because you can see through the numbers. Maybe you can see that your bookings are down by like 10%, but the qualitative data gives you those insights, and the answer might truly just be like cook the bacon a little longer and the numbers are going to rebound. Like it can be those simple fixes, I think, from the qualitative customer experience help us avoid those over engineering problems where we're, trying to solve a big numbers problem without the customer's ground truth driving the transformation. So I think that's a totally right call.
Yeah, like the answer is not always like go build a robust chatbot, right? Like it could be something much more elegant, like cook your bacon longer. I love that.